Hey everyone, how you doing today? So Sam was originally supposed to be here, but he's having technical difficulties and can't get in the room. So we will try to do our best to go along with what we have. Talking about the professional novice trading, so we'll have to do that another time when he's here. We can discuss it somewhat because I have a basic idea of what he wants to say, but we he won't be able to get in. So that's okay. We will discuss a little bit about the markets, and we can apply it to that concept in a way. You know, when you're talking about professional and novice trading, you go back to you think about it. I don't know how many of you actually are just starting out, and how many of you, if you want to say how long you've been doing it, if you just want to put it in the chat. I'm brand new. I've been here a year. I've been doing it 10 years, 20 years. I myself started 2007, and 2008 was really when I got that you know, really, because the markets in Asia and Europe and London, I mean Asia, Europe, and US were very volatile, all three of them. And so during that time, especially 2008 to 2012, that was just a frenzy all night long type trading until Europe closed, basically. So yeah. All right, so those of you putting in the timeline that you're in, so do you consider yourself still a novice, a professional, or somewhere in between? So let's call that a Nov Pro. What do you consider yourself? I know in the beginning when I'm looking around and I'm trying to listen to different people, and what I did was I just went by exactly whatever they told me. If they said after three green candles buy, I was trying to do that. After three red candles sell, I was trying to do that. And the issue with that is same thing with breakout, right? One of the very first strategies they always love to teach you is breakout. And don't get me wrong, it has its place, but the problem is the breakout, if you don't know what's ahead of you on the breakout, a lot of times it is a false breakout. It's a trap, and it's a false breakout. So yeah, so I see a lot of different mixtures, and you are correct. It's always a learning experience. But I'll tell you when you feel at least the difference, right? So when you're listening to Sam or I or some of our other people, what you'll realize is after a while you say, "Oh, I get it. I understand. I understand completely what they're talking about." But when you're new, you listen to many different people and you don't know the difference. And that's where I believe a lot of the confusion starts to come in, because then you start listening to, okay, should I do breakout? Should I follow this MACD? Should I follow this Fibonacci? Should I, and that's a lot of my issues in the beginning. And you can see where Sam has come from, which is the floor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, where everything is order flow, right? There's no RSI or anything. Oh, there's only stacks of paper in front of you, customer orders, buy or sell, buy or sell. And so what he did was take that and put it on the charts. So when he did that, he went to see what did it exactly look like on a chart. So that's where you're having this whole notion of the novice trader and the professional trader, because it's actually from the person who was at that time in the yen pit taking orders. He would be the person that's on top sitting on the phone, and everybody would be giving the orders to him, and he'd be the one that's making the calls to place the orders out. So he firsthand knows who's the professional, right? And who's why is it at the opening bell we get that big flurry of movement, right? You're having that matchup between buyers and sellers right at the opening bell, right? You have all these orders sitting at the sell, all these orders sitting at the buy. Now you have to come into balance with them, so you get a whole bunch of movements inside of that, and you can see in the morning, even this morning, it created a lot of supply zones that coming off of our higher time frame zone, it created a lot of smaller time frame supply zones through that. So you can see that's the overwhelming of the retail sales trying to sell, then you have the professionals come by. Then how about at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, you have the professionals, a lot of them trying to jog for position for the next day, closing some of their positions. And of course, you have your day traders too that ultimately wants to change positions too as well. But uh, a lot of these levels that we're talking about, if you take a look, let's go into let's say we take something such as the Russell, right? And we'll go back into that 180-minute zone. And that is the great thing about the markets, is that it is always something learning for you. No matter how long you've been at it, it's always something that you come in and you try to figure out for the day, and it's something that just keeps you always on your toes, right? How about, I always say your biggest loss comes after your biggest win. I don't know if any of you have experienced that, or if that's a common thing, because after your biggest win, you get your biggest high, right? It's like, whoa, I'm great. I'm the best that there ever was. And then you start doing just weird things just because you think you're the best, and the best. And that's when the market just says, no, 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 Jasmine, you are not the best at this moment because I am the best. So you got to keep your feet on the ground at all times, no matter what, because it is a game of risk and probability. And as long as you keep that in your mind and know that that's what you need to do, and don't go crazy. I've done that plenty of times in my past. So keep an even keel no matter what. You know what the worst thing too, when you're first turning that corner, I always say your trading journey is like a chart, right? Where I mean, I wouldn't say the equity charts are a good chart, but so typically what starts to happen is this, you come in, and if you're a person like me who doesn't like sim, right? You're pretty much like this, right? You're going down, right? And then all of a sudden you start to learn a little bit. You go, oh yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, good, good, good. And then all of a sudden the market conditions change, right? You might have been into an environment, either it's an up market, down market, whatever market it is. Market's going good for you. You're trading like a machine. Everything's going good. All of a sudden market conditions change, right? Like just like if you guys were going long, 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 long equities, doesn't matter where you bought, just buy, everything's great. Then all of a sudden, coronavirus, and boom, and then all of a sudden your curve becomes like this, right? Then you're like, wait a second, I just took another leg lower. I thought I was on my way to riches here. Now your curve becomes like this. Then you start, okay, you take a beating, right? You take a beating, then you start leveling out again. You come back to realization, and you're saying, okay, a little bit more learning, little bit more, okay, not so brave. I'm still good. I'm still good. And then you start stepping your toes back in, here, there, stepping your toes, stepping your toes. And then what happens is, you might lose a little bit of sight, and then come and then you say, you know what? That's it. I am done. I am done for the rest. I am never trading again ever in my life. Okay, right? You hit this bottom, you create a bit of a little candle here that says, wait a second, not quite yet. Boom. And then you get your little life back in again, and then you start again, right? You start again, then you start again, and you're doing good again, you're feeling good again. um, and I also remember another part too, where you start doing good every day, right? Every day, and you're on this tremendous streak, right? You could be on a month streak or whatever it may be. And now all of a sudden, everybody's coming to ask you, how'd you do today? How much did you make? Did you do well? Did you make well? How much money? Yeah, let me know. So then it becomes to the point where you go. So then it becomes to the point where you go, oh, well, I can't say I took a loss today, right? I can't say I took a loss today, because if I say I took a loss, then now all of a sudden I don't look as good anymore because everybody's expecting me to make money. So let me just like hang on to this trade because I'm wrong, but I'm just going to hang on to it because I don't want to tell anybody because I'm on such a hot streak here. I don't want to tell anybody it's any different. And then of course that becomes like your biggest loss. And then you'll find your footing again. You'll humble yourself one more time. You'll learn a little bit more. Then you start to see this, right? Then you start to see it. Then the light bulb comes on. Light bulb comes on, and you are then starting to roll. Things are starting to come together for you. And what happens to a lot of people, I feel like, is may not they may stop here, and that's what a lot of what I'm afraid of with a lot of people. They may get to this area and then they say, you know what, I'm done, I can't do it anymore. And then really what they're missing out on is this, right? Because you're just a little bit like right there. You are like literally right there. But because you've been through all of this, you never got to there. So that's the sad part, if I want to say anything. But if you hang in there, there is a very good chance you get to that, and then you get that explosive move. You may level out for a little bit, but as long as you continue on and keep your risk at hand. For some of you, if you're just a risk taker, you're not a rule follower, this path is going to be a lot more volatile than others of you. But we all get tamed too. Believe me, it all tames us no matter what, right? But anyway, that's a little bit of a trading a journey there. But going back to talking about what you're looking at. So you can see a lot of times what happens is, you take a look at this where we have a market where the overnight high was basically into a level of supply. But does anybody really think about that time? No, because everything is so bullish. Asia was bullish, Europe was bullish, everybody was screaming, buy, 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 buy. But we're into an area of supply. And so then of course you can see we get down to buy the overnight low here, right? The overnight low. So as a novice trader, right, you're thinking news is good, the news is good, we're opening up, and we got stimulus coming in Asia, we got stimulus coming in Europe. Fed has endless possibilities here. Everything, blah blah blah, right? Everything is great. Now you come into a level of supply, prices start to fall. Now all of a sudden, the people that try to buy up here, now you're caught out, and you've become the novice, right? Because you're caught out there. But it's okay as long as if you start to recognize it right away and you turn, right, you change your mind. So then it starts to turn again. But now we're coming below the overnight low. So a lot of times for The novice person, they say, oh, look, the overnight low, this is your time to sell, right? Where it's just, okay, once it breaks the overnight low, that's where you want to sell because that's showing weakness for the day because it's coming below the overnight low. However, what it didn't tell you that is that that's what Sam has been, pointing out to you for years and years is you got to look at where your stack of orders are, and you can see where we have below the overnight low, we have a 180 demand right below that area. So if you were the seller right below that overnight low and you didn't know where that stack of buy orders are, now you've become the novice again. So you become the novice going into trying to buy into supply, right? And you become the novice trying to sell into demand. So can you see that balance of, where the market is trying to trick you and where the market where you want to be that's professional. You don't want to be that novice. You want to be prepared at all times to know that, okay, if we're in the middle here and we're coming off a supply, I can still continue to sell at supply, right? We're in the middle here, we're coming off supply, I can still sell at supply. Once we get below, if there was nothing here, so you can see the difference, right? See the difference here. If we didn't hold here and we were to fall back through here, we don't have great demand in here. We can easily fall through here. Right now, you can see it's not the same scenario, right? We have a scenario where we developed a few demand zones on the way up. So this initial, can it slowly chew away? Sure. If we continue to form supply, we can slowly chew away with all of this, right? No problem. But the issue is we are going to hit demand. We're going to bounce up. We're going to hit supply again. They're going to, remove orders on both sides, right? And then start that whole journey again, right? If you take a look, previously in the past too, right? You could see the same thing over here. Really, if you take a look all throughout these candles here, you have a demand that's already pulled back. You have another demand that's already pulled back. So you can see prices very easily to come down to these demands, right? It's the same thing, right? As we continue. Once we get through this supply right through there, nothing really to stop prices to move back up again too as well, right? So when you're looking at these things, you just need to know that, think of it purely from the fact, just the way that Sam wants you to think of it as, right? Stack of buys and sell orders. That is completely it. Don't overthink things. Don't try to, if you want to use other things as confirmation, that's completely up to you. But I would suggest don't use a lot of things, right? If you want to use one thing, if you're not sure and you want something to use as a confluence, okay, fine, I get it. That's totally fine. But I'll tell you, when I started, it was a million things on my charts. There were, so I mean, this is different. This is your open, high, close, or low. But your blank charts here, where you have a look like this, my charts were not like that at all. When I first started, I had 3 moving averages. I had either a CCI or RSI. Then I had a MACD. And this is when I knew zero about the charts. I knew absolutely nothing, which means I knew nothing about supply and demand. I knew nothing about price action. So when that happens, then all of a sudden think about this. You come into an environment where people are trying to teach you to trade with indicators. And the indicators, if you look, come free. Look at these. They come free on every charting platform that you have, right? Any kind of indicator you want. You want this, you want this, you want that, you want, here you go. Oh, what do you want? Every kind of moving average you want, every, Keltner channels, you got pivots and you got, everything that you want free. You want the platform and you get it free. There's a reason why they give it to you free, because if you don't know what you're doing with it, you're just going to lose money with it. It used to be where they said, "Oh, here the RSI is going down to 30 or so. Here, time to buy." I said, "Okay, let me buy." Oh, then of course it just continues to drop, drop way down. And then I'd be like, "Okay, next time it comes back, I ain't buying it because last time I lost money on it." So sure enough, it goes back up. Oh, here it's reaching 70. Go sell. All right, let me go sell. Well, I don't know where I am on the chart. And meanwhile, the minute I sell, it just continues to go. It's same thing with the Bollinger Band. They used to tell me, "Oh, here's a Bollinger Band. All you got to do is, as long as it, shoots out of the Bollinger Band, just sell." I was like, "Okay, let me try that." Oh, well, I sold when it went out the Bollinger Band, but you don't know where you're selling at with those Bollinger Band. When you're coming in new as a student, you're probably selling in here, right? Or we just hit demand and now you're trying to sell in here when the Bollinger Band, right, is telling you to sell because it's too far out. But meanwhile, there's nothing to stop prices from moving back up. So the importance of learning all this is, and I can't stress the importance enough, is to know where your stack of buy and sell orders are, where the professionals are putting their orders, right? So that you don't continue to be a novice anymore if you are still, right? And that is something that where it's going to change you. That's where you're going to hit that light bulb where you go, aha, okay, now I get it. I'm relying on all these type of indicators that's given to me free to trade my hard-earned money, and I'm thinking that that's going to be the perfect. And will it work for you sometimes? Yeah, it'll work for you sometimes. But the majority of the time, if you don't understand price action and you don't understand supply and demand, it's not going to work for you most of the time, because that's exactly what did happen to me. Okay. But anyway, uh, I just wanted to bring that up for today because I am, filling in. I'm sure Sam will do his session next time a little bit more in detail, because he is, after all, the originator of supply and demand and the one that has come off of the actual trading floor with lots of experience and has brought this whole strategy to you with basically drawing the candles on the charts as he was learning on the floor. So think of it that way. That's what you're getting: true, pure order flow, supply and demand. All right. So I think that is good for today, and hopefully we can reschedule soon, and you can have a full talk about it again in a slightly different manner. But yeah, hopefully I talked some psychology into some of you. I know for me, it was I would say it was every week where I would just say, "I'm done. I'm through with this. Never again." And then Sam would say, "Just keep going, keep going." And it's funny, but I know some of you out there, if you're at that point, the only thing I would say is definitely you want to preserve your capital. Don't be crazy if you are starting to lose a little bit of what do you call it, self-discipline, or you're not quite there. That I would say, but other than that, you can't stop. You came this far. You're here for a reason, and you gotta fight on and continue on, and you'll see that light bulb if you haven't yet. All right. All right, everyone. So have a great rest of your day, and we will see you real soon.